Welcome to Uncensored Stories. I'm your host, Ryan Dowdy, former director of sales and college athlete turned sales coach. And I have the privilege of interviewing some of the coolest entrepreneurs I have had the opportunity to meet. In this interview series, you are going to hear stories that will give you inspiration, that will give you hope, that will encourage you to continue to moving forward in your entrepreneurial journey. So let's dive in and meet our amazing entrepreneurs.
All right, I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, my friend Alyssa Dillon. Alyssa is so much fun. She is a business strategist, and I just can't wait for her to tell you all her story. But I wanted to tell you how I met Alyssa. I always love to tell you guys how I met. We connected on Facebook on our personal profiles, and we met and we connected. And I was just like, I really like her. I like her style. Like she's just very uncensored, which is kind of my jam. You guys know that. And we started talking and we just traveled in one another's world. I was in her Facebook group. She was in mine. I had her on as a guest on the podcast a while ago, and even had the opportunity to do some coaching with Alyssa early in 2020. And I just love her story and what she stands for as a business strategist. She holds nothing back and is super honest about her story and her struggle, and then now her amazing success. So welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to talk with you about everything today. And yeah, both of us really lean into the uncensored in both of our brands and how we show up in business. And I love working with people who are just want to be their most authentic, amazing selves, because why not? Why not?
I love that. So tell everybody kind of your story, like back to the very beginning, like your accounting business, like way back. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to start off by letting you guys know that I was actually never planning to have a business. I never had a desire to be my own boss or be an entrepreneur. I really saw myself as like the corporate ladder climber. Like I was going to be the CEO of somebody else's business. I actually, at a very young age, I was very fortunate. I was able to take on a controller and a CFO position by the time I was about 24 or 25. So very young, high up position. I went to school for accounting. I actually never finished my degree because I took on this CFO position and I didn't have the time or availability to do that. Fast forward, I work in this position for a couple years. I get pregnant and I have my first baby, which was not necessarily planned. On top of it, I had a second baby that was definitely not planned. So I had two babies in 11 months. It was wild, but I knew at that point that the corporate position was no longer for me. I knew that I wanted to be home with these kids, but oh my gosh, I went to a private college and I had to pay for it, among other things in life. And my husband really wasn't in a position to support all of my bills as well, plus these two new babies. So I figured, okay, well, I have to make some money somehow doing something. And of course, having this accounting background, I was like, well, I'll just offer bookkeeping services. And so it was really like this perfect storm moment when I walked into work one day and I was having a terrible day. My newborn had pneumonia. I had mastitis. And if you nurse or know about nursing, you know that that's terrible. And then my oldest child, who only was like 18 months at the time, was about to have his tubes put in for his ears. And I went into work and my boss gave me this laundry list of things to do. And she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay? You don't seem like yourself lately." And I said, "You know what? I'm so unhappy and I feel like I can't do anything good anymore. I'm trying to be everywhere for everybody and be everything for everybody, and I'm just done." And she's like, "Okay, well, what can we do?" And I said, "Nothing. Here's my computer. I'm going to go." And she's like, "Are you coming back?" And I was like, "No." And I walked out of there. I got in my car and I sobbed my eyes out because I had no freaking plan, you guys. I had no plan. I was not in a place of like, oh, and I have this backup thing. It was like, great. I have no idea what I just did. So I called my husband and I was like, I just quit my job. And he's like, "It's okay. We'll figure it out." And I did. I immediately went to work. I got on my computer and I started contacting everybody I knew to let them know I'm talking neighbors, cousins, brother, sister of other people. I don't even have siblings. Like I contacted everyone. I contacted old college professors, anybody that was willing to hear me speak. I mean, I went through my email list, Facebook group. I went through my phone. I just scrolled through it and I just contacted everybody. I said, hey, I just quit my job and I am trying to offer bookkeeping services. I got to make some money. I got to contribute to my family. I have college loans that are coming out. And I was just very honest. I was just honest. Like, I got to make some money. I'm home with these 2 kids now, which is great, but got to bring in some money because my back was against the wall. And honestly, sometimes I think it's the best position to be in when you don't have options. And I really just didn't. I didn't have an option. I needed everyone to know what I was set out to do. And, you know, I brought in Facebook, I got online, I got on social media, I let everybody know I am trying to offer bookkeeping services. I would post a picture of me and my kids and just say, this is my background. Like, I had no marketing or sales experience. I was in the accounting department. Like, we don't know anything about marketing or sales. We only know how much money the marketing team is spending and how obnoxious it seems to us, right? So from that standpoint, I was like, oh my gosh, this marketing game is killing me. But you know what? I embraced that too. And I dove headfirst into learning all about marketing and sales. And this is kind of where I get to this point where I got really freaking good at it. I got so good at marketing and sales that in 6 short months, I built a business that was bringing in about $25,000 a month in bookkeeping and accounting consulting services. And I positioned myself as a CFO. So that was epic. It was amazing. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe I did this. I was making more money than I've ever made in my life. And then about a year later, I was getting more people asking me, how did you grow your business so fast? Than I had people actually asking me for the services. So I decided to pivot. And then I became a business strategist and I teach people about marketing and sales and visibility and authority, and showing up as the expert in whatever your niche is. And now here I am, and we actually just did 100K last month. We did 100K, and it was my biggest month yet. And I'm celebrating that still, and hopefully about to do another 100K next month as well. So it's been crazy. It has been a whirlwind. Sometimes I still can't believe it.
I love that story. I've heard it before, guys, and I'm still like, oh my gosh, it's the best story ever. Because I just think that's so fun. And I love what Alyssa said about like your back being against the wall and you let everybody know about your business, everybody. And even if you notice the verbiage, guys, that she used was just like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing, right? Like it was not marketing polished at all at the time, right? She was just like, hey, I'm trying to launch this business. Help me out here. What was the time frame? Like, give everybody context of how quickly it went from like I quit my job to 100K months. What's that time frame, Alyssa?
So we're looking at about 4 years at this point. I've been in business now about 4 years total. So really not that long in perspective. Like it's kind of crazy. Like sometimes I get insecure when people ask me how long I've been in business. And I'm like, oh, I've only been in business for like 4 years, like for myself. And then I'm like, wait, look at everything I've accomplished. Why am I insecure and embarrassed around that? Right? Like I've accomplished so much in such a short period of time. It's really wild because it feels like it's been 10 years. It really has. It feels like it's been, I'm like, and as many good days as we have and as many times we get to celebrate, there are still days where I'm just like, never mind, burn it all down. Yes. But, we always power through.
I love that. And I think it's so true. And it's funny because we do that all the time. Well, it's only been 4 years. It's only been, for me, it's been 2 years. But like I talk to my students a lot, Alyssa, like online entrepreneurship in general is not an old profession. There's nobody that's been doing it for 30 years, right? Like it just hasn't been a thing for that long.
Right.
So like we need to stop qualifying that was, oh, it's only been this long. It's like, yeah, but the most senior person at this is who? What, Gary Vee? Maybe. I guess Marie Forleo has been around forever, but she'll tell you like she built her email list on like a legal pad, right? Like she was not showing up on a Zoom call or a Facebook Live marketing her services X number of years ago. So I think that's important to point out. Something else, Alyssa, that I want to dig into a little bit is you talked about like you worked with a lot of different businesses. So you were marketing CFO services, your marketing accounting services, but if I heard you right, there was no specific like niche, so to speak, that you were going after. At this point in the game, it was businesses with money that needed somebody to manage it. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So as you guys know that are watching this, when you enter into the business world, you get hung up on all of this minutia, these details of like, well, I haven't niched and I don't have this logo. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't have a website. I made a logo myself in paint. I'm not kidding. In paint. I put an A and a D together. It was not even Canva. Y'all, it was not even Canva. It was paint. So I threw this, it was just like an A and a D. I threw it together because I was AD finance was like the name of my thing, which really nobody cared about anyways. But also as far as like niching or industry, I kind of just was able to talk to anybody and work with anybody. I figured out my niche as I went along. And that's the important thing. Like I didn't decide that right off the bat. Honestly, I didn't even know what that meant. So it meant nothing to me, but I knew what my skill set was, right? Like I leaned into what can I do and who am I going to offer the best thing for? Like it was based on my previous experience, based on personality types. Like I did know early on, I didn't want to work with anybody who was, am I allowed to say the word dicks on here? Like I just didn't work with people who were dicks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan.
No, don't be sorry. It's true. I mean, I get it. It's a good qualifier. You should put that on your website. Yeah. I think you should.
It really came down to that. I was just like, I don't want to work with anyone who's rude to me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to work with anyone who is demanding. It really came down to personality type and if I could figure it out. And you guys, I made mistakes. I brought on like an e-commerce client once and I was so lost in the woods. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I got to find you somebody else. And guess what? The worst case scenario, I know there's this fear with startups and new entrepreneurs who are like, oh, but what if I take on a client and I can't do the work? Here's the deal. I've been there and all I did was say, I can't do the work. I can't figure out this e-commerce. This is way too hard. This is not my expertise. I owned it and I helped that guy find another person to take over the work. And guess what? We're still friends to this day. Like he still admires me. He still follows me on Facebook. He thinks I'm great. He just sent me a text message the other day, talking about like business entrepreneur stuff. So nothing bad happened from not being able to do the work. I just couldn't. And I found somebody else. So I learned along the way who I didn't want to work with. Mm-hmm. And I leaned into where my expertise was. Over time, I actually found that I was getting more people in the medical field, chiropractors, pediatricians. I worked with a very large dental group. So that ended up being more of my niche.
Right.
And it wasn't because I picked it. It was just where my expertise came in. And that comes from being a controller for a large medical group before. So I had the knowledge. I understood medical billing. So
I think that's so important too, because we think we have to pick it out of like thin air, or that it has to be something we're really passionate about. Or, it has to be the exact right, perfect thing. It has to be really heartfelt. And you were just like, dude, I need to make some money. I need to raise these kids and I have this skill set and I'm going to go leverage it. And then as time went on is where your passion grew. And that I think is probably why coaching is so much fun for you, because we've talked about it. I know that is your passion. And now you do feel like really connected to your why. But at the time you were just like, dude, like, I need to make ends meet. Like, this is it for me. And I think that's really cool. So talk a little bit about, you were doing $25,000 in revenue, but if I remember the story right, you were not doing all the work yourself, right? Because there's a lot of bookkeepers and service providers out there right now that are like, How are you managing $25,000 worth of business by yourself?
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you guys, I almost never did any of the work. I was one of those very rare individuals who I knew right off the bat I hated bookkeeping. Here's the deal. Like I told you guys earlier, I made my way up into a high level position very quickly in my career. So I never had to do the grunt work, that type of bookkeeping. So when it came down to it, I didn't want to, number one, and I recognized that. And number two, I wasn't that great at it. Like, I wasn't good at figuring out the details. I knew what I was good at. I was really good at looking at reports. I could review work. I could review a general ledger like it was my business because I'd been doing it for years. So that being said, like, I knew how to review other people's work and find mistakes and also be an analyst. Being a CFO, like that was my job. My job wasn't to do bookkeeping. So I brought in bookkeepers very soon. At one point, I think I had 3 bookkeepers, one was a CPA, and then I brought in somebody for tax work who I just subcontracted tax work to him. And he was a CPA as well. So, and PS, I'm not a CPA. Have no certifications, 0 certifications. Everyone around me did, which was great because they could get the work done. I knew that they could help me if I ran into anything, but I didn't have any kind of certification. I just had people on my team that did, and I was able to pay them. Basically, I looked at it as when I built my pricing into a client, was I going to be able to pay hourly for the work that needed to be done? And it was kind of like, I just looked at it as cost of doing business. I think one of the reasons that a lot of service providers don't want to bring people on early enough is they're like, well, then it's not going to be pure profit. I'm sorry, what business is ever pure profit? Like, let's be real about that. That doesn't happen. In reality, you can't give me one business that's pure profit.
Yes. Oh, so good. I love that story. And I think that's important too, because we do. And then also, with you being a controller and that CFO and all that other stuff there, we get a lot of people that are like, well, I'm worried about people's ability to do it right? Like, are they going to do as good of a job as I am? And you basically were like, no, I hired people that would do it better than me. Like, that's what I wanted to do, was people that were better at a specific skill set.
Right. And it was people that had a desire to do the work, had a desire to make money. Some of them even had full-time jobs, and this was like their side hustle, so they could make a little bit of extra cash. And so or stay-at-home moms. 2 of them were stay-at-home moms, and then 2 had full-time jobs. And so it was always like a place where they didn't really have a desire to grow a business like I did. They just were looking for the extra money. And so that worked at that time. Today, I have 2 full-time employees who started with me part-time, and their positions have grown over time. And working full-time works for them, and they're also home with their kids. So it's worked out.
I love that. That's so fun. So, who we're talking to today, right? New entrepreneurs, many who are still juggling the full-time job in the business, which I know you didn't do, but you coach a lot of people that's kind of their jam, right? They're trying to get out of that full-time job, that sort of stuff. What's some just like really basic, hey, like first 3 things you need to do to go out, get clients, and kick that full-time job out from under you? What's kind of those action items you would give those people, Alyssa?
Yeah, number 1, stop waiting. Stop giving yourselves reasons to wait. There's always like, well, I'm just waiting for, and and this just has to happen. Nothing has to happen for you to start talking about your business. Nothing. There needs to be nothing. You don't need an LLC. You don't need anything to start saying, hey, I have a business going on, and start getting your name out there. I didn't actually do any of those more like the logistics stuff, the responsibility that comes with becoming a business owner. I did that, but get a client first. There's nothing, you can be a 1099 for somebody and just at least start moving and start making money. So stop giving yourself reasons to not get started, right? Number 2, be proud of what you have going on. Like, really take responsibility and say like, I've gotten this far. I'm proud of where I am. And I'm so proud to offer the skill set that I already have. Right. I think so many people just starting out, we get worried about like, well, what if I'm not good enough? Or this person's going to do it better than me. And there's so many other people out there. There's somebody for everybody. And if you can just take responsibility for where you've gotten today and just decide like, man, I have gotten myself here, I can get myself to the next level, you will. Like, you absolutely will. Third thing, massive action. Just don't overthink it. Just keep going. Just take the moves. As many really good freaking moves I've made in my business, I have 10 others that really sucked behind me, right? And guess what? I haven't crashed and burned because of them. I just keep going. I just keep doing what I got to do, and I keep figuring it out. I didn't overthink anything. I just was like, you know what? Let's see. Rolling the dice sometimes, but here I am.
I love that. And one of the things that I don't know if you caught Alyssa say this earlier, that here she is, right? She did $100,000 month last month. She's got it on her roadmap to do another one. And there are still days where her business feels hard or heavy or chaotic. And I think, Alyssa, that new entrepreneurs often think like, once I hit this level, this will go away. Or once I hit that level, this will go away. Can you just spend a couple minutes talking about like, it's all a journey, like more money, more problems, more money, more drama, more money. I mean, it all just grows with it in the best way possible. But can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think you do an awesome job kind of telling that story.
Yeah. So this is not a direct quote. But new levels, new devils. Like if we can figure out who actually said that, we should put it in here. But it's not my quote. I don't want to take responsibility for it and plagiarize, but I really live by that. Like, I always decide the next level is giving me new problems that I'm thankful to have, right? The next level gives me new issues, new things to overcome that I'm thankful to have. That perspective right there is going to save you, because it doesn't go away. It never does. I mean, there are literally days where I have messaged my best friend, who is also one of my full-time employees, Allie. Anyone who knows me knows Allie. She's like my right-hand girl. She handles everything for me. And then we brought on Alexis full-time this year too. So it's Alyssa, Allie, and Alexis. Try to get us all right? So, but I've called her and just been like, I'm done. Burn it all down. I'm done. And she knows I'm kidding, but she always reminds me too, every breakdown comes with a breakthrough. Like, I'm going to get the clarity. I'm going to figure it out. I've always figured it out before. So I think the biggest thing is like, there's no level that you reach where it suddenly becomes easy peasy. Also, as an entrepreneur, it's like a high. You are never satisfied. You're never like, oh, okay, now I'm good. It's like, okay, what new problem can I bring on, right? Great, we did a 100K launch. How many more can I do in a row, right? Or the next thing for me is like 200K launch. Let's do that. Let's shoot for 200K. So it's always trying to challenge yourself. And the people that have asked me, like, how do you manage the stress? It's like, this is the kind of stress I live for. Like, I would rather have this type of stress than the stress that I had before. And just remember where you used to be, because I look back and like, man, I wouldn't change any of the stress I have today to go back to a job I hate, where I couldn't see my kids, where I didn't have the freedom that I've created for myself today. I don't think I actually did mention, like, I only work 3 days a week. I have a rule. Like, I don't work Wednesdays, I don't work Fridays, and I don't work on the weekends. Like, I work Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and that's it. Because I want to be with my kids right now. They're still young. They're 4 and 5 at this point. So I want to enjoy them.
I think that's so good. And I think it's so important to think, because I remember very clearly when I started my business, I forget who it was, that was like all about like $15,000 months and da 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 da. And I was a brand new baby entrepreneur, no clients at all. And I was like, dude, I don't need 15 grand. Like, I just need out of this job. Like, that's all that I need. Right. But like a true entrepreneur, I was like, well, if we can make 8, we can make 10. And if we can make 10, we can make 30. And if we can make 30, we can make 60. Right. And like, it just keeps climbing. And then I keep thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to get there. And then we're going to slow down. And then and I just like, every time we get there, I'm like, but this and this and this. So I love that you say that, because those of you listening to this right now are like, yeah, I don't want any of that. I don't think I started wanting any of that either. And I don't think Alyssa did either. Right? You just wanted to be home with your babies. You wanted to close the gap that you needed to close between your salary and your husband. So I just think that's important for all of you watching or listening right now, that you're like, that's great. Your 100K launch this and your 65K month that, I just need a job. Barking dogs, talking kids. It's just what we do around here. Don't worry about it. I'm just keep waiting for mine to like bust in from preschool. We're like about at that point. So, but Alyssa, tell everybody where to find you, where to hang out with you. Tell them about your Facebook group and all the awesome stuff that you do.
Yeah. So, number one, I have a website, alyssajDillon.com. You can go there and find pretty much links to anything. I have a Facebook group that is Uncensored and Unstoppable Entrepreneurs. And you can follow me on Facebook. I mostly show up on my personal page, Alyssa J Dillon. So those are the 3 places I think are easiest to find me.
No, but the thing I want to point out about Alyssa, and this is something I didn't even ask her, but we're going to talk about it for a second. You've built your business primarily via Facebook and email. Right. And like, that's a big thing for you right now. Because everybody they're like, oh, well, to get to 100K launches, like I got to be on Instagram and I got to be on TikTok and I got to be on LinkedIn and I got to be in all these places. And not to say you're not putting content out in all the places, but you hang out on one platform and that's your jam.
Yep, that's my jam. And you know what? I've even had my team repurpose. I've done all the things to make sure I'm like showing up in all the places. And honestly, like, a majority of my clients, they all come from Facebook and email. And so that's where I lean into. I have found those places to be the easiest for me to hang out. And I want to preface this with, that doesn't mean it's going to be the easiest for you to hang out there. You got to pick your place. What's your jam? Where do you go right now? Right. If you love Instagram, freaking show up on Instagram. I didn't like Instagram. It wasn't for me. It didn't come naturally. I'm not a TikTok or a Reels kind of gal. It's not my jam. I don't know. The girls that are doing it right now, like, more power to them. They look hilarious and awesome. I am not about to dance and point at words. That is not for me.
So if you are not down for dancing and pointing at words, you need to go hang out with my friend Alyssa. Alyssa, thank you as always for being so authentically yourself. And it's one of my very favorite things about you. And it makes me so glad that we get to do this business building journey together. So everybody go join Alyssa's Facebook group, get on that email list. Her emails, they are great. They're super fun to read. A lot of really good thought-provoking mindset stuff. That is awesome. So thank you, Alyssa, for being here.
Thanks again for watching Uncensored Stories, How They Got Started. We would love to stay connected on social media. You can join us in the Ambitious Women Entrepreneurs Mastering Sales Skills community on Facebook. Follow us at Uncensored Sales on Instagram or at Uncensored Sales on TikTok, and we'll see you in the next interview.